This is the Indian Scout, and a lot of our subscribers have been asking us to review this bike for some time. So here we are. We've been very kindly lent this by Motorcycle World of Northampton, and we're going to give you a full, honest and thorough review. Now, the first time you set eyes on this bike, it's one of those bikes you go, wow, look at that, it's very good looking. And it's low and long and lean. Getting on the bike for the first time, it's easy to ride. And height-wise, I'm 6'3", and the bike is actually quite roomy. You've got forward controls, and the handlebars are well spaced. So there's plenty of room. And the handlebars are, as you can see, quite swept back. So if you put them further forwards, if you were very tall, you'd have plenty of room. So this is another bike that would fit taller riders. So the same as the Indian Springfield Dark Horse, which we reviewed a few weeks ago. Make sure you check that video. We'll put a link in there somewhere at the end. This, again, is another good bike for tall people.
The Scout is fitted with an 1133cc liquid-cooled V-twin, and what a lovely looking engine. It's a work of art, it really is. Before we carry on with the video, we want to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done already. Leave a like on the video and leave your comments below what you think of this bike.
This Indian produces 97 Newton meters of torque at 5,600 RPM and 94 brake horsepower. So unusually, I say unusually, for a V-twin, like the Harley-Davidsons have a lot higher torque than they do power. This is fairly equal. But riding it, it feels very lively and very responsive. And you can feel that power, and it delivers it very well. So from low revs, it pulls nicely. And throughout the rev range, there's plenty on tap. So it's got a lot of grunt and it's very responsive.
One of the things I did notice is the timer cover on this side. It's a very nice design on there. A lot of bikes you just get a plain bit of chrome basically, but that's a nice intricate design that they've done on there. The wheelbase is 1,575 millimeters and it's got 16-inch rims on the front and the rear.
The rake, that's the angle of the headstock, is 29 degrees, and the trail is just under 120 millimeters. So that gives you the combination of stability and good turning, because it's quite a short trail. So it does turn easily. You've got quite a fat front tyre, which sort of dampens, if you like, the nimbleness of it. If you had a narrow tyre like the Street Bob, you'd find it would turn a little bit more nimbly. But it does ride the bumps nicely with all that rubber.
It's got a genuine leather seat and a seat height of 649 millimeters. And again, to give you a comparison, I'm 6'2"-ish, and this is a very nice feeling riding position.
The brakes are very good. You've got a single disc front and rear, but the stopping power is good for single discs, and no complaints there whatsoever. Now, the handling on this is excellent. You can throw it around the corners nicely. It's a firm ride, so if it's a very bumpy road, you do feel the bumps, but nothing to complain about. It is a cruiser, so it's not a motocross bike, but it's a very nice ride. And I'd say, if you're a beginner, if you've just passed your test, I'd say it's a little powerful. You'd have to take it very easily at first, but once you got used to it, it's a fun bike to ride, and it's got more than enough power for everyday roads in the real world. So it's a good bike to have.
So there's various different colour options with this bike. This is obviously black, which costs $11,899. You can get it in maroon and crimson, which is $12,999. $299, or there's two other options. There's blue and silver, which is $12,499, and there's grey and black, which is also $12,499.
Rearward visibility in the mirrors is okay. I can see about half of the road behind me. They're not properly adjusted for me anyway, so I mean we could improve it a little bit. But if you're a bit shorter than me, I'm 6'3", so if you were 5'11" or so, you'd probably find it would be fine.
The front suspension's got 120 millimetres of travel, and the rear's got 76. And as the old man said, it's a firm ride, but a secure ride.
The gear change on this is very good indeed. It's ever so smooth. Unlike the Harleys, you don't get that clunk as you change gear. It's nice and smooth, and it goes up and down the gearbox very easily indeed.
It's got a 12.5 litre fuel tank, and with the tank fully filled up, it weighs 256 kilograms, which for what sort of bike it is, isn't really that heavy. It's quite a bit lighter than a lot of the Harley range, and it is noticeable as well.
Now, another thing I really like is it hasn't got any modes. We're not big fans of modes, because the problem with modes is if you are in a normal mode and you get used to the bike and then you change to, say, sport mode, it suddenly becomes more lively, which can catch you out. So we like the fact you get used to it one way and it stays that way. The controls are lovely and simplistic, just what I like. You've got an on and off switch here and the starter switch there, and on the other side you've got your headlights, your indicators, your hazards, and the horn, and there's a little button on top there to go through the menus, and even that is quite minimalistic, which is good. You've got an analog speedometer, which is good, easy to read. Travelling along the road at 70 miles an hour in 6th gear, it's doing 3,600 RPM, so there's plenty of grunt left to overtake if you need to. But at that sort of RPM, it's not struggling, it's just going along effortlessly, which is what cruisers are all about.
There's a USB port just here fitted to the bike, so if you want to plug in your phone or a sat nav, if you can rig it up somehow, you can do that. The stand on this bike, it feels nice and firm when you put it down, but if you do push it forward slightly, you will notice that it will come up. That's not a very good example of it, but if you were, say, facing downwards on a slope, you definitely want to put it in gear to take the slack off of it, because it is a bit worrying that you don't want your bike to fall over, basically. The mud guards are well designed. They come down quite low on the front and the back, so for weather protection that's pretty good. You're not going to get the bike too dirty or yourself too dirty, but they are a nice shape as well. They're a nice little sort of slick, swooping effect to them. I like the amount of black and chrome that's on this bike. It's split up very well, especially on the engine. It's very well thought through, and just the general design of this bike is a very pretty bike. You can see the lines of the design there, the way they've designed it in. It is very, very nice. You've got twin shock suspension at the rear and conventional forks on the front. So if you were looking at this bike, you're most likely going to be looking at one of the Harleys as well, and with the price point that would put you with the Street Bob or the Softail Standard. Now, if you were choosing between the two, this bike's more refined. I'd say the engine and the gearbox are a bit smoother, and it's a lighter bike. This has got more power, but the Street Bob has got more torque. I think the Street Bob's a bit more of a raw experience as well. But both of the engines are going to sound just as good as each other if you've got a good exhaust on them. So it's mainly down to styling, really.
So our verdict on the Indian Scout is that it's a beautiful looking bike. I love the retro styling. It's ever such good quality. It really is a bike that you turn up somewhere on and people go, oh, look at that. So it's a beauty. Change the pipes and it will sound just as cool as well. So it certainly ticks the cool box. The engine and the gearbox are all very refined. It handles nicely. It's got plenty of grunt. So it's got everything you could possibly need.
Make sure you check out our merchandise. It'll be displayed in the carousel below. We've just got a new design up there. It's got t-shirts. We've also got hoodies because it's a lot colder now, and sweatshirts, and there'll be more of those to come in different designs. So make sure you check them out.